Hey everyone, we are back at the KubeCon show floor, and I am now talking to Nick from Ondat, and Nick will tell us all about what Ondat actually is in a second. Nick, how are you doing, and how do you like the show so far?
I'm very happy to be here. I mean, KubeCon is always like, the event to be during the year, whether it's North America or Europe. Always super exciting to meet the community, so we're pretty much really enjoying so far. Yeah, and plus it's super warm in Valencia, so what do you want?
Yeah, there's worse places to be than in Valencia in May, right? So tell me a little about Ondat. I think that not all people in our audience here at the Suzanne Rancher community know what Ondat actually does. So what do I have to imagine when I think of Ondat?
So Ondat is really about enabling stateful application to run on Kubernetes. So if you take the example of a database, they have specific requirements, and the problem currently with Kubernetes is that if you run, like storage for your database locally on your node, well, if you lose your node, you lose the database as well. So Ondat makes use of local storage of every node, aggregate it into a pool of storage, and then add on top of this a collection of features like theme provisioning, replication, end-to-end encryption, so that stateful application can effectively run in Kubernetes, whether it's in the cloud or on premises, with higher performance, higher resiliency, or these kind of requirements.
Do I need an SDK of any kind to interface with Ondat, or is it just like regular storage classes and persistent volume claims and all that stuff? So how does it look like from an application developer point of view?
So it's very simple from a developer or platform admin perspective. You directly interact with the storage class. And the storage class, then you just put labels on it, so parameters. And for example, if you want to enable encryption, you say encryption equal true. If you want 5 replicas, you say replicas equal 5, these kind of things. Or you can do it on a PVC basis. So higher level storage class, or more granular, you can do it on the PVC basis, but always in a Kubernetes native way.
And so another thing we wanted to talk about is we really had a cool project together recently with a joint customer called Sunnyvision. They are a like mid-scale cloud provider in the US, if I remember correctly. So what was that project about, and what made it special? And are there any like new things that have been created in that context?
Yeah, sure. So Sunnyvision, they had one key requirement, which was they needed end-to-end encryptions for their data, and they wanted to use our encryption features. And our encryption feature allows you to, on a per volume basis, to encrypt the volume, and we try to do everything in a Kubernetes way. So we store the encryption keys as secrets in Kubernetes. And as hopefully everyone knows, secrets in Kubernetes are not that secrets. You need to encrypt the secrets themselves, right? And if you look at the market today, every vendor, whether it's HashiCorp Vault or Cloud KMS, they will have their own way of storing secrets and enabling the application to use them, but they're not really like Kubernetes native. The traditional way of doing it in a standard way in Kubernetes is to use encryption configuration inside Kubernetes, and then you have to use some sort of interface that can talk to that to the Kubernetes API. And so far, other vendors, they use a different mechanism. They just expose the secret directly to the application, sort of bypassing completely Kubernetes. So the idea and what Sunnyvision wanted to do is to bring those KMS provider back into Kubernetes. And in that space, currently, there's no real standard. So we created an open source project called Trousseau that allows you to essentially, Trousseau is a KMS proxy. So essentially, Kubernetes is now talking to Trousseau, and Trousseau role is to turn any KMS provider into a Kubernetes KMS provider using Trousseau as a proxy.
And so tell me a little bit about the integration with the Rancher Marketplace. You have Ondat in there, right? And is Trousseau part of that integration, or is that something you have to like bring in addition?
Yeah, so basically the Ondat solution as a whole is integrated into the marketplace. So if you want to do, whether it's like a RKE2 cluster or if it's a managed cluster like GKE, it's just one click, right? You deploy your cluster in Rancher and then you go to the marketplace. We have an operator to install Ondat. So there's a couple of parameters to configure from the Rancher UI, and here you go, right? And then in terms of Trousseau, again, you will connect to your cluster via the CLI and just go, on the GitHub page on how to install Trousseau. It's basically a daemon set you install, and then you have to configure the encryption file in Kubernetes, and that's basically it. Started to run it.
So that really adds a lot to the power of Ondat and the power of Ondat and Rancher together, I guess. So we're here in KubeCon. A lot of people are here as well, but I guess a lot of people are also still watching from home. Not everybody could travel. There's still a little bit of restrictions depending on where you are in the world. So for anyone who's not here this week, what would you recommend them to do if they want to check out Ondat?
Yeah, so if you want to check out Ondat, there's multiple ways to do it. You can check out our portal. If you go on the ondat.io website, you can be redirected to the portal. You can try it out if you want as well from the portal. Or, one thing's very important. So especially for KubeCon, we are also launching a new licensing model, which is free for, all the feature up to 1 terabyte per cluster. So there's no reason not to try it. It's performant. You can try the performance, the replication, the encryption. You can add Trousseau as well. And just for KubeCon, we're also launching a new open source project, which is called Disco Blocks. And the idea of Disco Blocks is to manage disk provisioning from all the cloud perspective in a declarative way, naturally in Kubernetes.
So I can define my partition table as a Kubernetes resource and kubectl created? Is that what is it about?
It's not directly about the partition, but it's like the drive themselves. Think about Google Persistent Drive, EBS. All of this can be provisioned dynamically from Kubernetes using YAML, so that Ondat, or basically any other, if you don't want to use Ondat, it doesn't matter. It's not linked to this open source project. But the idea is really to get this management plane that allows you to control and manage the lifecycle of all those disks without leaving Kubernetes, just using YAML.
Very, very cool. Thank you for telling us about all these things. And you folks out there, go check out Ondat, check out their GitHub projects. Really cool company, really cool solution. And yeah, thank you, Nick, for being here. Thank you for coming by and telling us a little bit about what you guys do. And I can't wait to come over to your booth and check it out myself. So thank you very much, and I'll see you around. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back with more partners later on. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the community.